presentation I threw together for my liberation theology class. So it's attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It kind of goes along with, and I'm going to come back to it, the stuff about protesting, making it unconstitutional for a company, for basically a division of the government to mitigate situations related to employers and employees, related to unions and so forth and so on. And Columbia University is in the news heavy. I'm going to go to that after this, related to their protest against the war. But they're making it into an anti-Semitic thing. And the way that University of South Carolina, which university is it? I'm confused now. Cracked down on the people was really hardcore and extreme. I'm feeling like, the Hamas war is looking a lot like Vietnam to me. Like I'm seeing a lot of parallels with that. And I'm noticing that even back then, like there was a repression, there was like a crackdown against protesting hardcore about the Vietnam War. But the way it's happening now with the Israel-Hamas war is on a whole nother level. Even the same universities that's in question right now are getting cracked down on a higher level than they did. And that they were the focal point for the protests against the Vietnam War, And so I guess they learned from history. They're like, we're not going to let this get out of hand this time. So we're going to freaking smash it out at its heart, which is what it seems like they're doing. And then make everybody afraid to make comments or get on board or support or show any solidarity, because if you do, then you're anti-Semitic. That is how they're using it. So this one, it says attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is what's happening across the board heavily. And it's another way to attack schools and universities, scholarship, in this country. It's taking us backwards, man. It really is. And I hope that people can really realize how all of this stuff is connected. Roe versus Wade, I want to say legacy, affirmative action. That's the one. Like all of this stuff is connected, and it's political, and these are agendas that you've had the powers that be that have been trying to work on ever since the civil rights era, and the voting rights. Dobbs? They are undoing a lot of the progress that has been made, and they're using these cultural soundbite, freaking emotional clips and reels to get the job done, and dividing and conquering the public. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because I kind of want to talk about, I might save it to the next show, but I want to talk about the guy who set himself on fire too. And it's like, they covered it, but they didn't even say what his manifesto was, or they didn't mention why he did it or whatever. And it's like, that doesn't fit the narrative. Some guy saying both sides suck and they're pulling a coup on you. And it's like, whoa, we can't cover that. We can't say that. This guy's crazy. I know that was a lot, so forgive me. Let's check this out. It says, Republican lawmakers in more than 30 states have introduced or passed more than 100 bills to either restrict or regulate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the current legislative session, according to NBC News analysts. Yeah, in my school, they closed down those offices or rebrand those offices right away, immediately. As soon as the thing passed in court, before they even had to do it, they did it way ahead of time. Like they were just waiting It was like I never been in that building anyway. So I was like, what do they even do in that building? Like, I don't think they even really did it. Forgive me, I don't know. I'm ignorant. I don't know what the hell they did in that building. It says states such as Florida, Texas, and Utah are among the handful whose legislatures have approved bans on DEI efforts in higher education and public offices. So they're banning DEI in higher education or public offices. It's like DEI is the devil. And then when that bridge came down, the guy was like, DEI, that's the reason why the bridge came down. Like, what? Goes on. In Florida, the Board of Education recently announced a new rule banning public colleges from using state and federal funds on DEI initiatives. Last summer, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a law to require all state-funded colleges and universities to close their DEI offices. Yep, and that is what happened. It has already happened. You know, so it's like you can't use the funds. So then they have to close the offices anyways, because then how would they be able to prove that they didn't use funds? You know, because these colleges and universities aren't completely government funded. They're businesses, and they got endowments. They also have they have profit. So, but they would have hell trying to prove that, yeah, we didn't use the money that y'all gave us for this program. So we're not even going to go through it. Let's just close it. The other side. Advocates for the anti-DEI movement have called such policies and programs unconstitutional, holding that focusing on diversity and inclusion only divides Americans and fosters white guilt. You're going to get some tears. I'm going to cry. The little kids are going to feel guilty. These efforts are part of the larger conservative push against wokeness. Like being aware, being awake, like being able to decipher information. You know, I hate that word wokeness. I really hate that. I really hate woke. That's why I don't use it. You know, it means so many different things to so many different people that it's like the word doesn't even have any meaning anymore. It's like, what do you mean by wokeness? Like that could mean freaking literally anything, whatever your definition of it is. Like it says the anti-DEI efforts follow and have gained momentum from the backlash to Black Lives Matter and the implementation of laws to limit what can be taught about race in schools. So, yeah, you know, we don't talk about race in school because, you know, MLK, you know, said he had a dream and kumbaya and, yeah, racism is over and there's no racism in the United States. It's like, you know, people aren't racist anymore. That's in the past. Like, there's no institutional racism either. Like, there's no kind of like real racism here. So the racists are the people that's bringing up race. It says why. In February, Arizona State Senator Anthony Kern likened DEI initiatives to support for Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ rights as he introduced a bill to prohibit the state and local governments as well as colleges and universities from spending money on DEI. Kern said that there was ample evidence of professors intimidating students by using state money for things beyond education or advocacy. We don't want public money going to political activism promoting DEI, Kern said. So, I mean, the universities are supposed to be an anti-politics place, you know? It should be about education, right? So, but they're saying that these people on campus are promoting DEI or they're doing their political activism through education or through the universities or whatever, through scholarship. Like the scholarship don't have anything to do with politics, you know, or it shouldn't. And in a lot of cases it doesn't, you know, but everything is inherently political. So you can say that it was political, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was. Just because we're learning about, like, say, slavery or something like that, or Jim Crow laws or whatever, and then they'd be like, oh, you're doing your political activism. You're trying to make the kids feel guilty or whatever. You know, and what did he say? Liking DEI initiatives to support for Black Lives Matter. So DEI initiatives support Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ rights. How the hell do you get that stretch? Like, that's a stretch. That's like a ultra yoga stretch right there to come to the conclusion that DEI is supporting Black Lives Matter and LGBT rights. You know, and the thing about DEI, I think a lot of people don't really understand, and the ones that are trying to make this political leave out diversity, equity, and inclusion is not just about like Black and brown folks. It's about people in wheelchairs. It's about people who have hearing disabilities. It's about people who have, you know, visual disabilities. It's about women. You know, you know, anyone that isn't like I don't want to say norm because that's not the right word, but anyone that doesn't fit the box of average person, you know, DEI helps them. You know, it forces these colleges, universities, jobs, you know, corporations to allow their programs to be inclusive to these people. You know, it's to get rid of the barriers from these people so that these people can be as successful as anyone else, you know, instead of having these hurdles to jump. Like if you have a person that's in a wheelchair and they have to jump hurdles, literally, they're not going to make it. You have a person in a wheelchair and you have only stairs and you have no other kind of accommodations for them to move around the building, they are not going to make it. You have somebody who has hearing or visual disabilities and you don't have, you know, braille or the lights, the different things, they're not going to be successful. So that is the point, you know, but they always want to make it Black Lives Matter. Like it's all about Black Lives Matter. It's going to benefit Black people. So, you know, that's a problem. That's one of the things about this country that really burns my britches is anything that's going to help Black or brown people, you know, even if it helps everyone else, everyone benefits from it. But if it's going to overwhelmingly help brown people, then in this country, it's like, we don't have the money for that. We can't do that. Like, you know.
You tell her to get away from me. She's crazy.